One of the theories that's doing the rounds is because parties like the RJD, the Samajwadi Party are not on board with 33% reservation, which will mean that 33% of the 543 seats in the Lok Sabha will get reserved for women alone. Therefore, what is being discussed is that you could have the dual member system. Now, this is an idea that the Bharatiya Stri Shakti, the BSS, came up with. What this essentially means is that you have a certain number of seats where you have one male MP and you have a female MP, and this goes back to 1950-51 when elections happened in 51-52. There were 314 parliamentary constituencies which had only one Lok Sabha seat. There were 86 constituencies which had 2 seats. What that means is you have one general category candidate, one general category seat. In that same area, you have one SC/ST candidate. So therefore, on that same seat, which 86 out of the total, you have one SC/ST candidate and you have one general category candidate. These are called dual member seats. This is an idea that the BSS came up in 2009, saying that if you can't find a resolution, can this then be the solution? So you don't change the boundaries of the Lok Sabha seats. The seats are still 543. You add 33% extra seats where you pick by certain criteria. For example, it could be by population, it could be by geography. Certain number of seats in each state then get classified as dual member seats. Ranjana Kumari joins us, well-known women's rights activist. Does this serve the purpose, Ranjana ji? This idea of the Bharatiya Stri Shakti of 2009, that you have these dual member seats. We had it from 51. It continued till about 1961 when it was abolished by legislation. Then you had separate SC/ST seats. Till then you had these dual member seats. Does this work for you?
Well, Rahul, first of all, this bill, which is at the moment, which was passed by Rajya Sabha in 2010, is a bill which was well considered in the leadership of Geeta Mukherjee. The parliamentary committee went around the country, everybody's opinion was sought, and finally, of course, the bill was drafted, and it reserves seats only for 15 years. So it's really not that indefinite period women want that space. It becomes very, very important now for the special session to pass it for 2 reasons. One, that we have in our declaration in G20 have told the world that India believes in women-led development. Even when China had reservation about this language, because it is not a UN language, there is nothing called women-led development. But we have tried to convince the world that India believes in women-led development.
So can I pause you for a second and say that ideally women's rights activists such as yourself would want 33% of the 543 to be reserved. That met with opposition last time.
There are 2 ways of
doing
it.
So if there is a new formulation that you don't disturb the 543, you create dual member seats where there are 2 members on 33% of the seats. Does that serve the purpose for you?
Well, Rahul, that experiment failed.
Why?
Because, when it failed because when it came to Dalit seats separately and voting like that, people did not really choose to vote for both. They chose only to vote for the upper caste candidates, and then it did not really serve the purpose of representing those castes, and that is why it had to be changed. If you go
but that was 1950, 1960 ka India. This is 2023. Maybe things have changed since.
Let me tell you, there are 2 other very good way of doing it. Now that we have a 780 seat parliament, new parliament building, there was problem of seating, this, that and the other. Now we have an opportunity to have women. Additional seats should be given to women. That's what I will say.
No, but that's the same thing. So you get 179 seats added, 179 to the 543. And remember, in Parliament, about 800 MPs can sit. So 179 plus 543 is 722. So you just expand the Parliament, and it's the kind of formulation that nobody can seem to oppose.
Yes, because the fear was why it could not go through. One was, of course, the reason for the OBC quota and the Muslim women. We have agreed. We are saying give it to Dalit women, give it to OBC women, give it to Muslim women, give it to all women, but it should be reserved for women only. So that's the first agreement that was arrived at. That is why it was passed in Rajya Sabha. Number 2, that when you have so many seats now, then where is the difficulty? Nobody is going to lose the seat.
Most of them. So you're in agreement with this. Sanjay Jha, Could this be the game-changing formulation which creates consensus, makes it difficult for parties like the RJD, the Samajwadi Party to say no? Because you don't redraw parliamentary boundaries. You just have 2 MP candidates on 179 seats. One is general, so it could be anybody, and the others are just reserved for women.
Well, Rahul, I'm not going to speculate on that, but I can tell you what this government ought to do. One is that you got an expanded parliament, and I believe the principal reason behind that is the proposed delimitation that is supposed to happen in 2026. I think the larger issue has to be in terms of the representation of different states in the Lok Sabha. That has to be done. This cannot be postponed, indefinitely for a long time. And I believe that is one of the most critical aspects.
No one's answering my question.
India is seeing no transparency.
No, you're making a point which has nothing to do with my question.
I have answered. I think political party delimitation has nothing to do with women reservation.
No. I'm making a different point altogether.
No, so Sanjay Jai, why don't you answer my question? Because this logjam around women's reservation has existed for a very long time. If there is dual member system, does that then potentially, in your view, break the logjam by making it very difficult for parties to say no?
Well, I can tell you, Rahul, frankly, if you want a sustainable model and one wants to see genuine, authentic women empowerment, then I will agree with Kumari ji here that the way forward is to have 33% reservation across the board for women in both assemblies and the Lok Sabha, without indulging in this, what I would call is a subterfuge of sorts in creating the dual member
one is
system.
to look at it as subterfuge. The other is that, you have reservation for women, which isn't going to happen. We'll see a pushback from the men. If you do it with this dual member system, you could potentially find a way out. Ranjana, Kumari, it's not 33% per se, it's 33% extra. Do you think it gets the job done? Because there'll definitely be 179 more women in parliament than there would be otherwise.
Rahul, in that case, it will be 50-50 because 1 woman, 1 man. But the difficulty is that...
Not for all. I'm saying the formulation is 33% of the 543, which is 179.
Why do you want men to contest those seats? You
No,
see,
men
that's
don't
when
contest.
women will become the secondary. They become secondary, players in the game because their constituency, they will represent the same constituency. Who's going to go to them? They will all be going to male member of parliament. So women will remain a kind of subordinated substitute member. So clearly reserve the seat. I think the formulation from various points of view has been worked out. That, you see, the whole strength of the whole thing is that it has been passed by Rajya Sabha already. So that means the
So you're saying you want full
agreed on it.
reservation. You don't want this dual reservation because your point is legitimate to some extent that if there are 2 MPs, they'll just go to the main MP. They'll think this is some side MP and they won't come to them. Shehzad Poonawala, and I must say this very clearly so that nobody thinks that this is gospel. This is one of the theories that is being considered. It doesn't mean that this is the formula which was on the cabinet when they met this evening. So we don't know that, but this is being actively discussed and therefore we're having this discussion. Shehzad Poonawala, could this break the logjam?
Rahul, look, it's quite impossible for me to give you my opinion on a purely speculative matter. And as a national spokesperson, I don't want to indulge in something that is not even there. As I always say in Hindi, मैं उस बच्चे का मुंडन नहीं करवा सकता जो अभी तक पैदा नहीं हुआ. But Rahul, let me tell you what is the factual situation as of now. I have pulled out a India Today report. When the bill was passed in Parliament in Rajya Sabha, the Samajwadi Party, RJD and BSP opposed it. Now I ask Shama Mohammed, because Jairam Ramesh and Pawan Kheda both have asked for the very same bill that even Ranjana ji was referring to. On this Rajya Sabha passed bill, is the India Alliance going to issue a statement and say...
So that's a different matter. You made that point, Shehzad. You made that point. I want to stick to... No, one second.
I just... 1 minute.
Ranjana ji, just 1 second, please.
Can I just answer that, Rahul?
No, Ranjana ji, just 1 second. Can I go to Shehzad? Can I go to Shama Mohammed and ask her the question that I am asking? Just 1 second. Calm down, everyone. Shama Mohammed, if this dual member system is brought, 33% reservation for women, so 33% seats have 2 MPs, 1 general and 1 woman, does that serve the purpose? Shama Mohammed.
See, Rahul, before I come to that, Shehzad has been saying that that what is your stand? Why should my stand even? Why should you consider RJD or what the Samajwadi want? You have the numbers. You have to pass the bill. Why are you so worried about what the opposition thinks or what it is? You have the numbers. Pass it. Show it. I defy you today. I'm a woman. I'm asking the Prime Minister of India, please pass the bill. And you can do it. He's always talking about women. He says, Stree Suraksha. I remember the speech he gave last year from the ramparts of the Red Fort. We need to protect our women. If you empower women, you empower the whole society. So do it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And Rahul, to your question, for me, the 33% reservation has to come. Whichever way it comes, I am happy. You know, we need reservation. We can see what happens. And also one more thing. I do not want to see husbands putting their wives. That should be a clause specially. You know, it should be women who are capable, who is doing work, and those sort of women should be there.
Ranjana Kumari wants to come in. Ranjana ji?
Yes. Yes, Shama, I think let's not qualify it why who should come, who should not come. I think let the political parties decide. Political parties decide on the basis of winnability. They decide on the basis of support that the women can garner and all that. Let them decide. Let that be. Let the women come first. Why do we start doing if but what will happen?
Okay.
This will happen.
So
no.
Rajat Sethi, let me draw you in just philosophically on the dual member system and the potential pitfalls and advantages. Does this potentially help break the gridlock, make it very difficult for parties to say no, because no seat is being taken away? Instead, with the new parliament, with additional seating capacity, 179 new seats are being added.
Well, in the realm of possibility, this is one of the possible approaches, but certainly there can be other innovative ways of offering reservation. You know, there are ample examples, historically speaking, where logjams have been broken. If there are concerns that, you know, adequate number of women representatives is hard to find, there can be, you know, some kind of a time horizon which is given that, you know, if not this Lok Sabha, it will start off at some other point, or it could be limited by the number of years that the women MPs have to be elected. There can be a lot of ways. First of all, I think that bill has to be tabled. A general mood of the elected members of parliament has to be understood. And if there are deliberations that need to be there. But this is the time when certainly this bill has to see the light of the day. It has been pending and languishing for far too long. There can be no two doubts.
No, but you can't bring a bill which doesn't get passed. You know, if it's such a big parliamentary session, the government has to bring a bill which also goes through. You don't want to bring a bill which then again runs into roadblock. And in the manner in which the Prime Minister was very statesman-like in the morning, he'd like that there be consensus when the bill is passed, rather than having a lot of parties opposing.
There'll never be. No, Rahul, there'll never be consensus. Let's not. Was there consensus on triple talaq?
The BJP and the Congress
there was no consensus. Look, if you want to give it, then, you know, global leadership. Today I'm speaking to you from United Nations General Assembly program that I am here for. The whole world is looking up to India to find a solution. Because do you know what has happened in the women leadership in parliaments in decision-making positions? Only 22% we have moved in past 8 years, and only 7 more years are left to complete the social development, you know, the whole agenda. Now, how do we achieve social development goals? Only if India leads the way and gives political will have to be there. And I think the Prime Minister, that will is, when he gives triple talaq, gave away with triple talaq, I don't think there was any consensus.
No, but the difference is that there'll be, regardless of what they say on record, there'll be people in every party who will have a problem with this, Ranjana ji.
Yes, I totally agree with you. You are absolutely on spot right that there'll be a problem, and that is why which bill in the parliament is pending, such an important bill for 30 years? This one is. Which bill was torn inside the parliament? This bill was. For which bill they fought with each other?
Okay, so I'm out of time. Very quick final words. I'll start with Shama Mohammed. Shama.
Rahul?
Do you like dual member system or not? Do you like the idea of dual member system or not? Shama Mohammed.
No, I'm not going to comment on that. What I'm going to comment is that this is a Prime Minister, when he wants to do something, he does it. He got in GST at midnight, he did demonetization, and he got rid of Article 370. So when he wants to do something, he does it. Today, the Prime Minister of India, I ask you to go ahead with the Women's Reservation Bill. Don't back out. Women of India are looking up to you. You must
Shehzad
do this
Poonawalla,
for
final
us.
words.
That's all I have to say.
In all those instances that Shama just spoke of, they accused the Prime Minister and the government of bulldozing. How the tables turned, Rahul, on your show. Today, Madam Shama has acknowledged that that was not bulldozing. But by the way, Madam Shama, we believe in consensus. Even you don't believe in consensus with your own allies. We believe in consensus. Let the entire parliament take a consensus.
I didn't
and
say
when
it's
at the
not
appropriate
bulldozing.
time,
I said
if
when
this
he
bill
wants
is
to
brought
do
in,
something,
let
he
there be
does
full
it.
consensus. Today, you are Shama, I did not interrupt you. That is
Why
the
should there be
least I have.
consensus?
Okay,
When
one at
you
a
want to
time.
do
Now, one
something,
second,
you do
Shah
it.
Mohammed, you made that
you.
point. Let Shahzad
Rahul,
respond.
Rahul, I did not interrupt anybody. Yeah. Rahul, my limited point is only this. Today, as of now, as we speak, the cabinet is over. Tomorrow, perhaps there will be a briefing. We don't know what is in the cabinet meeting that has come out. We know the agenda that is there for tomorrow, and that's what we will react on. But having said that, I want to only ask Shama Mohammed, by tomorrow, will you have a full consensus in your India alliance on the bill that you are advocating?
So you made that point the third time.
Yes,
that point is well registered. I'm
Why
out
do
of
we-
I'm out of
Why do you
time.
need a consensus? You have
Shama
to pass the
Mohammed
bill.
Last
and
word.
Ranjana Kumari both
Did you bring
saying
up demonetization?
you don't need a consensus. There was no consensus for triple talaq. There was no consensus for demonetization. If you believe it's important, if you believe women-led development is important, go for it. Now, do you go for it by splitting 543 by 1/3, reserving 179 seats for women, or do you create an additional 179 seats? So you top up parliament by 1/3.